putting the candidates for governor to the test. And tonight it's Philip Levine's turn to field our questions about traffic, sprawl, his plans to increase spending, and how he would pay for it. But we'll kick off tonight, just as we first launched our show, by lampooning the politicians on both sides.
Mr. Comey, do you cringe when you read the president's tweets?
I do.
We'll celebrate our 200th show with some humor and maybe a few surprises.
Coach Dudgy, thank you for the cameo.
Oh, no problem, Craig.
All right.
This is Money, Power, and Politics. Well, this is a big night for us. This is our 200th show, so thank you first for helping us cross another milestone. This show was created on the premise that you can mix serious investigations and interviews with humor and satire. And on that point, we want to start off with a look back at how much we have changed and grown through the years, going all the way back to my first big interview back in 1974. Mr. Nixon, we have tough questions for you.
Yeah, I know.
So you're going to fill out your second term.
I must put the interests of America first, to continue to fight through the months ahead for my personal vindication.
But we have the missing tapes, and we're going to play them at 11:30 tomorrow morning.
Therefore, I shall resign the presidency effective at noon tomorrow.
Wow, we had a feeling that one was going to be big. And as we moved into the 1980s, we just kept swinging. But Mr. Vice President, Dan Quayle, really?
Everybody's admitted mistakes. I've admitted mistakes. And you want to dwell on them.
But you picked Dan Quayle.
There's nothing new here. I thought this was a news program.
People in Washington started talking, and as we took off through the 1990s, people like Newt Gingrich actually got a little jealous because we kind of stole the spotlight, especially when we got that invitation to address a joint meeting of Congress.
I'd like to read a quote from a special guest in our gallery tonight. Help me. The couple next to me won't stop talking about your show, and it's boring me out of my mind.
Yeah, and if you're watching us for the first time, that's part of what makes us different. We like to have fun with a political system that drives people mad and bring down the temperature when politicians use overheated rhetoric.
Mr. Ted said the world...
What did he say?
The whole world's on fire. The world is on fire. Yes. Your world is on fire.
He said the world is a beautiful place and he loves kids very much.
And do kids love him?
Hey, let's hop out my street.
We're taking
Oh.
Yeah.
Taking politicians out of context is the easy part. Governor Scott, what's the meaning of this?
This is The Sopranos.
The challenge lies in taking them out of context in just such a way that their detractors would say speaks to greater truth.
I promised to change the status quo, and usually it was all just talk. Nothing much ever happened.
And of course, we don't just lampoon politicians. We also satirize those ill-informed trolls on social media who have always been standing by to inject something ignorant or rude. They actually inspired one of the characters on our show.
Carmen, the cranky camera operator, she hates everything. I gotta go balance out with Carmen. Come on. This is what you do during my segment?
I thought we locked you in the mailroom.
No. I got a key.
Oh.
Thank you very much.
Standing
Carmen.
by. Right, I'm standing by.
Carmen.
No, I'm standing by. Standing by.
Cranky Carmen.
Okay, what?
Carmen, quick question. I just need some balance in my life. Everything was very positive in the mailroom. I just need to know, what do you think of Money, Power, Politics?
Never seen it.
It's the show it's a show you're shooting right now. You shoot it every night.
I mean, Craig's okay, but anytime you come on, I just turn it off.
Sorry, Charlie, but that's just part of what we do. First and foremost, we do serious investigations and give important issues the time and attention that they deserve from our state sentencing laws. So the court is compelling you to serve 9 more years on a law that's since been deemed unconstitutional that the governor has changed.
Correct.
To our federal drug laws.
Who is your dealer?
Uncle Sam is my supplier. The epitome of hypocrisy and stupidity.
To our contradictory food labeling laws. So you have to inject additives into an all-natural product in order to call it all-natural.
Yes.
And that brings us to our interviews with the politicians and the candidates.
We feel like Adam Putnam's meddling in it.
Adam Putnam.
Adam Putnam.
Meddling in your dreams.
Meddling in our dreams.
I'm Adam Putnam. Every day, Washington finds new ways to meddle with our dreams. And every day as commissioner, I'm making sure they don't.
Are you sure you weren't meddling?
What we were doing is enforcing the U.S. Food Code.
We try to work politicians off their talking points and press them to take positions on big issues and put them to the test.
Whether we can afford to expand Medicaid, but we'll be looking at that over the next few weeks as we look at that opinion.
How and why did you change your mind on that?
Oh, I didn't change my mind at all.
We'll be looking at that over the next few weeks.
Yeah, I don't remember saying a few weeks. I don't think that's what I said.
This week, it's Democratic candidate for governor Philip Levine's turn on the hot seat. He's the former mayor of Miami Beach and a millionaire businessman who's committed his own wealth to the race for governor. Mr. Levine, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Now, you've complained a lot about traffic. I complained about traffic. You arrived 30 minutes late for your scheduled interview. Were you held up by traffic?
Well, I'll tell you something. We're on a great Florida bus tour. We're actually going from living room to living room all across the state of Florida. And we have traffic all across the state of Florida. It's unfortunate. I think the way we solve it is we actually invest in public transportation, and that's something we need to begin doing. And I think it's something that every Floridian would agree we need to do it.
So you were concerned about congestion, you're concerned about the environment, you're very concerned about jobs. Let's talk about where those three things intersect. Did the governor make the right or wrong decision in dismantling the Department of Community Affairs?
I wouldn't dismantle. I would make better. Talk about public schools.
But wait a minute, it already has been dismantled.
Well,
so you would bring it back?
I would make it better. I would change it. I would focus it on the people.
We get a Department of Community Affairs again. We get state growth management again. Let me tell you what
you'd have under Governor Levine. You'd have a state that would focus on the people.
And to those who would say state growth management bureaucracy was a nightmare, it was over-regulated, that local governments know what's best instead of politicians and bureaucrats in Tallahassee. If you want to bring the Department of Community Affairs back and revive growth management to them, you would say what?
Craig, let me tell you this. What I believe is what's happening in Tallahassee reminds me of what's happening in the Soviet Union with Moscow under central planning with Khrushchev. Somehow Tallahassee thinks that they know best.
By that logic, that argument suggests then that you would not bring back state growth management and that you would leave it to local jurisdictions exactly as the governor has done.
Greg, I can tell you this. We do know that we need help out of Tallahassee. We do know that we need to make sure that local governments have an absolute say in their own growth patterns. You know, I just don't necessarily always believe about throwing the baby out with the bathwater. I think that the government can help, but we need to let the local governments lead the way. That's the most important thing.
You're also pushing for a higher minimum wage. What would it be? How about $11 an hour? Would that satisfy you?
I can tell you this. Every city in our state has a different cost of living. I can tell you on Miami Beach, the way it costs and what it costs to buy a hamburger is different than what it costs to buy a hamburger in Pensacola. So in Miami Beach, we decided to raise our minimum living wage over a graduated period of time all the way up in 4 or 5 years now to $13.31 an hour. Yes, we need to lift the Florida minimum living wage. Because Craig, one thing you know, I know, you can't live on $8.25 an hour.
So what level?
What's the level needs to be what's acceptable in the state.
And to you,
12,
what do you consider
13, 14, it could be 15. But I think we raise it to a level that's acceptable to everyone across the state.
So you're looking at $12 or higher?
You know what I'm looking at? I'm looking at the rate that makes sense in the state of Florida.
Oh, I'm asking you what makes sense. I'm trying to pin you down.
Craig, it could be 12, it could be 13, it could be 14, it could be 15.
It could be 16.
No, I don't think it needs 60, but I think we need to work. I think we need to work on it
here. What is the number?
Craig,
you're the governor. You're the king. You can sign it into law today. If you could wave a magic wand, what would it be?
You're not the king when you're the governor, okay?
In your speech, fellow lawmakers, I want to raise the minimum wage to fill in the blank.
Craig, you know what? I'll shoot high. I'll shoot at 15, and if we get to 12 or 13, that would work.
Do you support the question on the ballot this year to raise the property tax exemption?
You know what? I think that we probably should do that. I think if we can give relief to people in taxes, I think it's a good idea.
Should we get rid of no-fault insurance with our automobiles, as some in the legislature would like us to do?
You know what? You hear both sides of that issue. It's not something, Craig, that either way that I really, truly am that focused on.
With President Trump in the White House, the posture of the legislature being what it's been for years, is the effort to expand Medicaid in Florida dead for the foreseeable future?
No, I don't think so. Listen,
if you're elected, how do you bring it to life?
We're going to figure out a program. Craig, I believe strongly that everyone in the state of Florida needs to be insured.
Would you commit state dollars to expanding it? And if so, how do you pay for it?
I think we need to do whatever it needs to be. I think it's something we have to look at. We have an $88 billion a year budget, Craig. We got a lot of money there, okay? Comes down to priorities.
Did state leaders make the right decision in suing the state of Georgia over access to river water and heading into Apalachicola Bay?
Yeah, sure. I mean, listen, I'm not an expert on river water. I'm not an expert in that specific area, but I think that it sounds to me like it's a big issue for that part of our state. and it's something that's been long brewing.
Well, more specifically, the special master ruled
Yeah.
that Florida goofed by suing the wrong people, that this is not an
Hey,
issue for Georgia,
Greg,
there's the Corps of Engineers.
If you had a legislature from Tallahassee who's been in politics his whole life, and there's so many of them, you can get into the real specifics of that question. They could probably talk to you all day. You know, as an entrepreneur, I can tell you this. I'm elected governor. I'm going to get the river expert, the water expert, and I'm going to let them figure out how to get the best thing for the state of Florida.
You've also called for a free college education. Is this something you would pursue if elected governor? And if so, how would you pay for it?
I'll tell you what we need to do. I know one thing. You're on Team Florida. You live in our state. You're a resident. Your parents don't have the right kind of wealth to send you to college. We don't know who the next Einstein is. We need to make sure that if you go to one of our state universities and you can't afford it, that you do not have large college debt or any college debt in the future, as long as you commit to staying in our state and working in our state for a certain amount of years. And I'll answer that question the same way I answered it before. We got a big budget.
But you've already advocated just a moment ago for a significant tax cut. Money is no gift from heaven. It means you would have to take from somewhere else. Where would you take from to fund these initiatives?
Craig, like I said before, as an entrepreneur, we're creative, we're innovative, we find solutions to problems.
Is there a specific program you think we're spending too much money on that you would cut?
No, I can tell you some programs that we need to invest in. I know that resiliency is a big issue in the state of Florida. I know that we cannot afford not to invest in making our state resilient. I know that we need to access federal funds to make sure that our cities are here for the future on the coast. It's most important for us. So nothing specific.
Mr. Levine, thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll have much more with Mr. Levine and the other candidates in the weeks ahead. You can also catch our candidate interviews on YouTube. Search for Craig Patrick's Money, Power, and Politics and click subscribe. You'll also find our investigations and prior shows you may have missed. Now, coming up, we'll look into the fight in Washington with perspective from former Congressman Patrick Murphy. Plus, we'll celebrate our 200th episode with highlights from the past and a preview of what we're planning this year.
Craig, at knockout time.
I watched Jeb Bush. He's a joke on immigration.
It's an act of love.
An act of love. It's an act of love when they come in.
I don't think he represents the Republican Party. His views are way out of the mainstream of what Republicans think.
Who is more conservative, Jeb Bush or Donald Trump?
Donald Trump.
Who thinks Jeb Bush? Who thinks Donald Trump? Seriously?
And so goes the story of how the Republican Party of Bush shifted to the party of Trump. Now, to understand this debate over immigration and the push and pull that's playing out, it helps to remember where we've been.
I believe in the idea of amnesty for those who have put down roots and who have lived here, even though some time back they may have entered illegal.
Former President Reagan signed off on amnesty for some 3 million illegal immigrants, and conservatives say it was his biggest mistake because he did not secure the border, and we got a flood of illegal immigrants. Then George W. Bush took another run at amnesty. Then Mitt Romney twisted the party in knots, trying to have it both ways.
Those 12 million who've come here illegally should be given the opportunity to sign up to stay here.
They should be given no special pathway to citizenship or permanent residency.
Should be able to sign up for permanent residency.
They should not be allowed to stay in this country.
And with that, Romney lost 71% of the Latino vote and lost the trust of the conservative base. McCain and the Gang of Eight tried comprehensive reform. The party, the establishment at least, did not realize how much that had turned off the base until Donald Trump channeled their anger.
They're bringing drugs, they're bringing crime, they're rapists.
Conservative hardliners say if you allow any illegal immigrants to stay, it will encourage others to come. But Democrats and some Republicans say you can't just kick out all of those who were brought here illegally as young kids and babies by no fault of their own. So to understand their perspective, here's a look back at a family we met before Trump became president.
Yo no puedo salir de la casa.
Socorro Maldonado just said she can't leave the house. She's been hiding here in Tampa for the past 14 years, and her daughter Leslie grew up not knowing why.
I would always ask my mom, what's a Social Security? They're like, oh, something you don't have.
They came from Mexico when Leslie was 4 years old. to escape the gangs known for killing civilians and snatching kids.
Tenía mucho miedo de que me quitaran un hijo. No sé.
Sakharov feared they would take her children, so she took them across the border illegally and raised them in Florida. Leslie's father works in the shadows doing construction, and her mom and aunt have been disconnected by language and fear.
They're too scared to get a job.
Leslie always assumed she was American and that her parents were safe.
Like, wait, so my parents can be taken away from me at any point. I could be taken away.
She discovered the secret around 5 years ago when she told her parents she wanted to go to college.
I cried. I broke down. It broke me in all kinds of ways.
If you're wondering where this is heading now and what Democrats are thinking and how they're interpreting the president's words, our next guest has some insight. Former Democratic Congressman Patrick Murphy, thank you for joining us.
Yes, thanks for having me.
From your experience in Congress, where are we going in immigration reform? What will the end game with respect to DACA and the wall be?
It's certainly been an exciting couple weeks, that's for sure. There is a moderate bill with both Republicans and Democrats that they are supporting that says, let's give these dreamers a pathway, to citizenship. Let's solve that problem. At the same time, let's add some money for funding border security. Whatever that amount is, let's come up with something. What are the best use of those resources? We can figure that out. But there are technologies that work, quite frankly, better than a wall. Let's find that middle ground. There's a bill that exists to do just that. When you listen to President Trump in that meeting he had, you heard at times someone willing to negotiate. And then it all got thrown out at the end there where, McCarthy reminded him, we are not doing anything without a wall. And then that followed up by of course, the comment, later in the week where he said, these countries are, S-holes and why would we be accepting them? That is going to make this debate so much tougher going forward.
Some of the president's top advisors, Stephen Miller, among others, appear to have no appetite for compromise in this, and they appear to have clout in the White House. Do you think that the White House would ultimately buy into this?
We'll see. It appears that President Trump will say basically whatever he's last told before he goes out in front of the cameras or tweets. There are clearly different factions in the White House, all competing for their own interest, from Jared and Ivana all the way over to Stephen Miller and everything in between.
Why do you think the president is using the inflammatory language that he is? And beyond that, what do your peers still in Congress think he is thinking? Has he lost a step? Or is this all careful and calculated and playing to his base?
There was a time where I think several Democrats were thinking, well, maybe this is calculated. He certainly won the election and, outplayed a lot of people and played to a certain base that a lot of people missed. As we are starting to see more and more as the book, release comes out, and we haven't really seen many denials from those in the book about that. And more people that I talk to, both Republican and Democrat, that are getting to know this president and this administration over the past year. It's starting to seem more clear that this is someone that is wholly unfit to serve as president, someone completely unprepared, who doesn't necessarily care about what's happening with the country, but more about himself, that is more concerned about keeping campaign promises for his own sort of ego than he is actually solving the problem.
Patrick Murphy, thank you for joining us.
Yes, thank you.
Coming up, a look back on 200 shows and a look ahead to segments we're planning for later this year. As we mark our 200th show, we have to look back at how Charlie Belcher joined the show. It all started with him checking my email, and it kind of took off from there. Hello, this is Craig. Yeah, Mr. Trump? Yeah, I'll be right there. Bye.
Wow. He gets the coolest phone calls. Oh, look at that. He left his email up. Well, Craig's a pretty busy guy. I'll help him. I'll help him return his emails.
But wait, Mr. Trump!
Mr. Trump, hey,
these idiots on
where's
television.
He just left.
Give me a break.
He just left.
He's watching the Charlie Belcher bit. He wasn't very happy about it.
What Belcher bit?
The one that's on TV right now.
It's on now?
Yeah.
What's he doing?
Making fun of you.
Oh.
You're fired.
Phone's ring. Chance to try my cheesy new greeting. Hey, welcome to Politics. Thanks for calling.
Hey, great to be with you all. Thanks for having me.
Oh, Secretary Clinton, I don't have a watch. I forgot about our interview.
That was a mistake.
I know. That's on me. I'll be right there.
And I might as well check his mail. Yes, apparently I did such a good job answering Craig Patrick's mail. Now I'm in charge of delivering all of the mail here at Fox 13. I don't even know who some of these people are.
You listen to me, all
Oh, hey, Russell, I have some of your mail here. I'm the one delivering now because I do such a good job on money, power, politics that they want me to, maybe I'll be the have a good day.
Yeah, this is right up his alley.
Craig, wait up! Where are we going?
And here we go,
I've
right
never been
through
to this
here.
part of
No,
the
it's the
city.
complete other side, all tucked away.
Wait a second. Was it just daylight outside? Doesn't your show come on at night?
Don't be all breaking the fourth wall and stuff. It's over here. This is all for you. Check this out. Nobody cares about that. This is all for you. Looky here. Come right on through. All right, right through here. And here you go, all tucked away. This is all you, your special place.
Wait! Well, Craig, I need a computer to answer email.
No, you're in the mailroom. This is Charlie's mailroom. The mail will come to you.
I wonder what he meant the mail would come to me. Oh!
That's how we did it. And coming up, we're going to show you where we take it from here. Charlie Belcher will be taking an expanded role in our show the rest of the year, as will Evan Axelbank. We're out of time, so we're going to have to show you how in the weeks ahead. That is our show for tonight, folks. We will see you again next week.